Meeting, pretend gavel, bang, there we go.
Roll call for the City Council meeting of Wednesday, June 19th, 2024 at 6:30 PM. Council President Flores, members Nelson, Schaaf, Titus, Troop, and Witherspoon. Councilmember Brzezinski is absent.
All right, normally we stand for a pledge of allegiance. I don't see a flag.
We got one.
So, does council want to stand for the pledge?
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah? Okay. Okay, all right. I guess we'll just, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Motion to approve the minutes from the Wednesday, June 5th, 2024 City Council meeting and bills for payment on June 21st and 28th, 2024. Members Nelson, Schaaf, Titus, Troop, Witherspoon, and Flores.
We have no presentations for this evening meeting, so we are going to be moving on. I ask that the media continue to stand on the side of the room that they're on, and citizens who would like to be heard just line up along the middle or along the back. That way there's not a tripping hazard. You can come up one at a time if you would like, and you get 5 minutes. Please state the municipality in which you live, and this is your time for your council to hear from you. This is our first of our summer tour, so hopefully we have a great response so we can maybe do this in the future as well. The first person may go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Paul Gamble. I live at 23rd and Holland, member of the Central City Neighborhood Watch Group. They're partners here with Booker T. Washington Center. Good evening and welcome to my neighborhood. What I wanted to bring up, and it may have been already resolved, I don't know, but I knew there was some discussion about the COPS program and reducing our police complement to 173 officers. I strongly disapprove of such action. I know with our current complement, the changes that have been made, and what a wonderful job BPD does, especially with our children here at this Booker T. Washington Center. As a resident of the neighborhood of 23rd and Holland, I know my grandchildren play without fear, without any problems, without any trouble, riding their bikes up, playing in the playground. So it does work. So keep that in mind. Now, finally, and I'll end with this. In our area, we are considered from 16th to 26th, state over to East Avenue. Basically, Central City goes to the east side of Parade Street, but I'm also talking about those residents in that area of Parade over to East Avenue from 16th to 26th. We're not in any current redevelopment plans, and I think that's a shame. We should be. We fought very hard to improve and remove blight in our neighborhood and to be really positive, productive members of the city of Erie in that community. So keep us in mind. We need your help. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Bob Strasser. I'm a lifelong resident of Erie and have lived most of my life on Erie's east side, probably the last 34 plus years at Erie's lower east side. So basically, now that I'm retired, I have more time to do things. And I want to be a little bit more involved with local things going on in my community, and keep an eye on city government and stuff, things that are going on. And today, I'm going to start off, I'll probably be at future things to continue with things. Some of you know me, some of you might think that I'm a little odd or weird or whatever, and that's fine. But I'm going to start off talking about fiscal responsibility. And when I look at this in the big overall picture. So I'm mainly looking at the federal level and all that's going on there. Now, a lot that like local communities, cities, towns like Erie, they rely a lot on different grants and loans and stuff up at that level. But here's the thing. Some of you may research and have heard these things, but the current federal debt is between $35 and $36 trillion. Those of you that understand finance and things like that know that just $1 trillion is a lot of money, okay? So also the total amount of unpaid liabilities in the country right now is at $129 trillion. The U.S. is currently spending now $1 trillion every 100 days, so roughly $3.5 trillion a year. And that's not money that they're getting from all their taxes and things. That's just basically mainly money that they're just printing the money. So I'm kind of asking, I'm starting at my local level, to try to educate people and asking yous to keep in mind when you do projects, when you apply for grants, is that grant money being paid for through federal tax money coming in, or is it just being printed money that eventually, you may receive it now, let's say from the CARES Act or whatever. All that money was printed money. The government did not have a rainy day fund set aside for a situation like COVID or whatever. They just printed the money, and they continued to print money, and they decided to use that money to give to states and local communities, but there's no accountability for it. Very little of that money actually makes its way down to our level here. Some does, and they'll highlight and showcase those projects or whatever. But who knows what's happening? And we see the same thing happening with the money going overseas for wars and all that type of stuff. There's no accountability. So at some point, it all catches up. We either go the way like Venezuela or Germany between World War I and World War II, where we're currently seeing inflation and hyperinflation. History repeats itself. So I'm just trying to educate people, those that want to listen to me, but I get 5 minutes here, so I will utilize it here and at other events. For instance, yesterday I went to the East Bayfront Greenway Trail meeting, talked to a number of people there, asked about the funding. Of course, most of that funding is coming from grants and my thing was, it all looks and sounds nice, and it may beautify that area that they're looking at. But if they are going to get that money could be used for other things, for helping the poor. I'm sure the poor people all around in the Lower East Side, which has been an area of the city that has been neglected for a lot, and I know yous are trying to deal with that and stuff. But there are other things that are more concerning and needed by the population of those people that they're trying to put the park in, like maybe places to get some food or have some more health fair clinics. Like once in a while they have over where I'm at in the Wayne building where the United Way area is and stuff around Wayne Park. They occasionally do put up like some free clinics and stuff. So I'm going to leave you all with that for now, and I will see you at future meetings. Thank you.
Thank you. Lori, do you have anywhere that people can sign? Okay, just making sure.
Right where Freda is.
All right, speakers are able to just come up to the podium when you're ready.
Hi, I'm Freda Tepfer, and I live in Erie. First of all, I live in the Baldwin Park neighborhood, and the prior city public works director opted to bring pickleball to us without any kind of neighborhood involvement. And my biggest issue with them is that they park in such a way that they are blocking the place where somebody goes in and out of the park and crosses the street. If you're sighted, maybe you can kind of wiggle around that. And we do have visually impaired people in my neighborhood. If you have a mobility device or a stroller or anything else, you're inconvenienced considerably. And this is a chronic thing, and I know I've told them not to do it. I take their pictures, I send them to the parking authority. The best thing to do to put a stop to it would be to paint some kind of crosswalk markings in the street. We were told there was going to be sidewalk, but there's some kind of magical parks plan that has yet to happen. Another thing about parks, there is this Safe Streets for All process that's going on, and I know that Active Erie already identified all the missing sidewalks. They did not identify the poorly maintained sidewalks. But some of the lowest hanging fruit for the city to install sidewalks would be the city parks. Baldwin Park, Brabender Park, numerous parks on the east side. And there is money at the federal level for this kind of stuff. I don't know how long they're going to wait. I know I've talked to Leanne Parmenter about it several times, but it's the easiest thing. You guys own the property next to the park. Just put in the friggin' sidewalks. Except that 300 trees were planted by our prior public works director with burlap on them without really figuring out where the sidewalks were going to be. Anyway, in my neighborhood, there's between Green Garden and 21st and Pittsburgh, there's like 3 blocks of missing sidewalk. 3 blocks. Would be really great if we could have a complete sidewalk on one side of the street or the other. A lot of people do walk from my neighborhood and to the east to Pittsburgh Avenue. I'm very happy that the Water Authority has worked with myself and the watershed stewards and Ernst Conservation Seed to put in a demonstration lawn conversion project. I know they are also interested, and I've been talking about this since 2017, some kind of way of having an alternative distribution system at the events for water, so we don't have all these plastic bottles at our events. But I would really hope that the city and the port and the Water Authority and the Erie Downtown Partnership could work together to have a way to distribute water and to not have plastic bottles at our events. Similarly, Give a Crepe is an example of a food place in town that only uses compostable containers. I was at a street market on my recent trip, and everybody used some kind of cardboard-like container, except for the beverages. But why can't the city, the Erie Downtown Partnership, the port, whoever else is involved, actually require participants in city property, port property events to use non-plastic containers? It's, just do it. And if all those organizations would work together on helping to buy those containers in quantity to make them affordable for the vendors, I think it would be an easy way to do it. So I hope you will help us to reduce the amount of single-use plastic in our waste stream. Thank you.
Thank you, Freda.
Hi, I'm Ruth Swanee from Lincoln Avenue. Following the last city council meeting, several neighbors approached me and asked to sign the petition for a pedestrian-only bridge over Ravine Drive. So here I am again, with more signatures. I am asking for this bridge as a means of limiting any further traffic on Lincoln Avenue. Putting in an auto bridge will increase traffic on Coqua Avenue, Madison Avenue, Lincoln Avenue, and the entire neighborhood. It was said at the last meeting by those in support of an auto bridge that Maryland Avenue is an accident waiting to happen. Well, the Saturday after that meeting, there was an accident at 6th and Lincoln. A car was broadsided, the airbags deployed, it was left to be towed away. I saw the car as I was going home, wondering, why is this car parked on the wrong side of Lincoln Avenue obstructing traffic? Because it was hit. We do not want any more accidents to happen. Maryland Avenue is dangerous for pedestrians, especially on the east side where St. Joseph's apartment is located. These apartments are subsidized. They're for the elderly and the handicapped. The hazard is the lack of sidewalks, especially right behind the apartment building. There is a field there, no sidewalk. Where are these people to walk? In the street? I inquired of employees in the city engineering department, isn't there a sidewalk ordinance? The reply was, it's grandfathered in. I say to the entity that owns this property, it is your grandfather and grandmother that are living in the St. Joseph apartments. Do the right thing, put in the sidewalk. Which leads me, I did some research in the last week, which leads me to the Erie's active transportation plan that was approved by the city council in February of 2021. Active transportation plans are documents that provide a roadmap for improved walking and bicycling conditions. One of the goals for 2021 was to implement a sidewalk paving program. What happened? Included in the active transportation plan was the Civics Do's and Don'ts Guide for collective impact from the Erie Refocused 2016 Comprehensive Plan. There have been many plans on what needs to be done to improve the city. Nothing gets done. There are 4 key principles that should inform decision-making according to this guide. I will quote you 2 significant to your decision, City Council. Do reassert Erie's pedestrian scale. Neighborhoods will be recognized as great places when they prioritize pedestrian comfort, safety, and interest. Don't design, this is right out of this plan, don't design for automotive convenience. Development and infrastructure that prioritizes the comfort and speed of drivers does not make the city more pleasant and desirable. Do support Erie's middle class. Erie must be desirable to the middle class as a place to live, work, and visit. do the right thing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, distinguished council members. My name is Scott Harris. I reside at 2114 Holland Street, and I do have one concern. Mr. Gamble and I talk all the time about the issue of speeding from 21st and Holland up to 26th, runs north and south. The speeding is getting worse by the day. For example, today I work from home, and I heard the sound of a motor from a vehicle that was so robust that I got up from working, opened my door, ran out on my porch, and watched the vehicle go south at least 65 miles an hour. And me and Mr. Gamble talk about it all the time. We are surprised that there has not been any very bad accidents involving children, because there's a playground right between 23rd and 24th in Holland. And Paul, he watches his grandkids run across the street. He has to make sure that there's no cars coming. I have nephews and nieces that I guide to the park all the time, and it's getting worse. Just last summer, there was an accident in which some passengers got ejected from the vehicle right on 24th in Holland. I think it was about 2 or 3 car accidents in that area, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. And I got a ticket for the first time in my life last summer by the Glenwood YMCA, and my first question to the officer was not how fast I was going. I was like, what do I got to do to get this down in my neighborhood? So please, someone look into that, because I'm telling you, it's getting worse. I hear it every day, and I see it every day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Michael Keys, Erie, Pennsylvania. First, I would like to answer a question of Mr. Gamble. I personally proposed spending money in this neighborhood when we got the ARP money for long-time owner-occupied properties to fix up their houses. And at the time, it was not the administration's goal to do so. Here, I'm glad to have you here on the east side. You know, those of us who live on the east side, you know, and love the east side, you know, we want more equitable response from the city in our amenities. I know we're not allowed to have props, but I did bring the preliminary site plan for the Roger Young, which is behind me. And so when I left council, they said that they were proposing a citywide park plan, which we have yet to see. And so with the time limits running out on the ARP money, there's going to be 1 or 2 things happening. If we don't have a plan, then we're not going to be able to allocate the money, and then we're not going to be able to spend the money, which means that they'll probably take the money that's supposed to go to the citizens and reallocate it somewhere else. And so that's one thing to watch. There's currently $5 million to be spent in the city parks. And I'm miffed where I see EDGRA, I see the the Sports Commission, and a variety of state and federal funding for grants for parks and for recreation, and I've yet to see the city of Erie's name mentioned one time for them. You know, grants went out for facilities a little while ago. We could have spruced up the pool house at the Roger Young. We could have done a variety of things. For now, we have the matching funds. There's $5 million in our park fund. and we only have a year and a half to spend it. And so my recommendation is if the city does not put forth a park plan, that they upgrade the Roger Young with all the amenities that were requested. The money is there. The people deserve it. The people deserve it. We deserve something on our side of town. We shouldn't have to go south of the city or to other localities to find these amenities. And I think it's important. It's a good show of goodwill from the administration and from council if we upgrade the Roger Young Park. And also, I would like to request a meeting with whoever is the liaison to Public Works so we can go in and talk about it with the new Public Works directors. Thank you.
Good evening.
Thanks for hosting us.
Thank you, thank you. Excuse my attire, I actually have baseball practice in about half an hour. Yeah, I still coach, yeah. But anyway, first of all, I want to thank you, the council, and
Chantel,
Mayor.
can you introduce yourself?
Oh, I'm sorry. Chantel Hilliard, like everybody knows me, right? Chantel Hilliard, Executive Director of Booker T. Washington Center, 1720 Holland Street. But once again, like I said, I want to thank you for the opportunity to come to the east side, as Mr. Keys just mentioned. I'm going to speak to my neighborhood watch tonight because it's very important for this particular neighborhood to get recognized, which we haven't done so in the recent. So, real quick, can some of the city council members stand up, please? I mean, neighborhood watch. I'm sorry, neighborhood watch. So, one of the things, that I want to reiterate is the importance of supporting all communities. And Central City neighborhood has been neglected. There's all kinds of construction going on in all neighborhoods except for Center City. And so we have to figure out what it is that we're doing wrong. We had a plan. We have to dust that plan off. We asked for some assistance with the mayor, and we've been meeting with the mayor, and we appreciate you meeting with us. But we need to do something. Our neighbors in this neighborhood are hopeless in the sense that we're not getting any attention to clean up our neighborhood, even lighting in our neighborhood. Just the basic things for our neighborhood are not being attended to. So I really wanted to just stress that today. We can work with your planners. We can work with whoever that needs to be worked with. But there needs to be something done in the center city of this city. And we've been patient. We got skipped over numerous times. And it's just getting to the point where the frustration is really getting overwhelming for not only organizations that serve this area, but for the neighbors. And so we're asking, I don't know who is the liaison to Central City Neighborhood Watch, but we're asking that we can connect with those individuals to dust off our plan. I know the city has the plan already from years ago that, it's a blueprint. We can tweak things and we can do some different things. But then also, and I'll wrap it up, is that, these programs that you have, and I know we talked about this the last time with the mayor we met a couple weeks ago, is these programs that are being put forth. There needs to be a better job of connecting to the communities. And so one of the first things that should have been done is the city or whoever else come to organizations like this and say, hey, listen, we want to work closely with you to get into your neighborhoods to make sure these individuals understand how to fill out these applications, how to access these resources. If we don't know, then they don't know. So we need to do a better job of just communicating and working together. One of the things we talked about with the mayor as well is there's no way that we shouldn't be collaborating and writing grants with the city, with community-based organizations and the services that we provide and the things that we do with the youth in this community. I know you just hired someone. So those are some of the things that I'm asking that the council and the mayor, he's been receptive to it, but I wanted to put it on record in public forum about our city, Central City Neighborhood Watch Group and getting efforts done in this particular neighborhood, and then also just working with city administration to do some things more different than has been done in the past. So thank you for the opportunity of coming out again today. I love the idea of going into these different neighborhoods. Whoever was the brainchild of it, I think it should be done in all neighborhoods, not just this neighborhood, but all neighborhoods. Give people an opportunity like this to come out and express themselves. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam President, may I say?
Go ahead.
Mr. Hilliard, thank you for hosting us. And I want to tell, we'll be here, we'll be at the MLK Center and then the JFK, but I got to give you credit. You're the only one that wanted to go first. Everybody wanted to see how it would be done, and you've done a great job here. You've made it very easy for us, and I'm really happy to see the crowd that you've brought, making sure the neighborhoods are represented. So thank you, Mr.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah.
Thank you to Hawk.
Lori, can you put a note that council wants to see the plan that the Booker T were talking about? Because that might have been before my time on council. So some of us newer council members might need that information in the future. Thank you.
Good evening, Susanna Faulkner, and I represent West 17th Street, so thank you for coming to the neighborhood. I want to echo what Mr. Hilliard said. I work at the Sisters of St. Joseph Neighborhood Network, and the Central City Group is doing incredible work and advocacy, and so really any way that you connect with them, it's even better than connecting with us as a nonprofit. That's as grassroots as you can get. Those are the neighbors coming together, so please go directly to them, and really happy to see y'all getting out of City Hall and into the neighborhoods. But I really want to speak on hunger and food access. So as we are in a gym where kids play, summer is the worst time for hunger across the country, and especially in Erie. So at any given time in the summer, 1 in 5 kids are going hungry. So that means if you've got teams of 5 on the basketball court, you've got 2 kids who haven't eaten enough that day. And while we have some great programs going around, really want to uplift the YMCA for everything they're doing around summer food access, I'm asking you all as local government to please promote that even more than you already are. We see at the Sisters of St. Joseph, we have a soup kitchen, which we run every Monday. We have a food pantry. The need, even just in the last week or 2 since school got out, has already increased. And so please, please, please share that information for all of us here and in the community. Please spread the word on where the food pantries are, where people can get access to food, where kiddos can get those free breakfasts and lunches that's supported by USDA. It is such a concern. On top of that, I want to give a bit of a solution to it. So thank you to the mayor for coming last Monday. Our urban farm at the Sisters of St. Joseph was very badly vandalized. And I can say that it was not rabbits or woodchucks. There was chemicals sprayed, and it was very meticulously done by humans. But thank you to the community, to the mayor, to everyone who supported us. We actually have more plants in the ground now than we had before, so that is absolutely incredible and just goes to show how much Erie really does care, and we can lift each other up. But we're really excited because our first farmers market of this season is this coming Monday. And so that's the Little Italy Farmers Market, just a couple blocks away on 18th and Hickory. It's 331 West 18th Street. We are the only farmers market in the entire county that doesn't just accept SNAP, EBT, WIC, and the senior vouchers, but we double them. And I challenge council as well. That is something that you can legislate. You can legislate, like in the state of California, the city of San Francisco, the city of Oakland has actually legislated that every farmer's market has to accept food stamps. So I give this back to you all as a challenge to maybe look at that. I've spoken with Secretary Redding, our Secretary of Agriculture at the state level. He's really intrigued by it as a statewide policy, but we have to see it implemented locally. And so if we could make it so every single farmer's market in Erie County could accept EBT, SNAP, food stamps, that would do such tremendous help for reducing hunger in our community. So I invite everyone 3 to 6 on Monday. Please come out to the farmers market. And again, thank you so much for coming to the neighborhood, and really excited to see how this brings some new voices in to speak to local government. So thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Deontay Cooley, and I appreciate this initiative. With you all being here, I know people typically come to city council meetings to complain, and it's good to see you all coming into the community, and I would like to see it more. I mean, to piggyback off of what Mr. Hilliard said, and I heard you all say you'll be at the MLK and the JFK as well. And the reason why I feel like this is important is because, like, we are lacking male leadership within the Erie community. And there are a lot of males who are trying to step up to kind of like fill some of those gaps and do different things. And I feel like there is a lack of education of resources, because sometimes it is intimidating to go downtown to speak, or it is intimidating to go down and get information. So, like, I appreciate this, and I would like to see it happen more often outside of just a summer thing. And then actually reaching out to some of those guys who are, and no disrespect to any woman doing anything, but to reach out to some of those guys, more, and offer them more support, offer them more resources, because there are a lot of different men within the community who are starting some grassroots organizations, and they're pretty much freestyling it, and they're doing great work, and they lack the support, they lack the acknowledgement, they lack the recognition, so a lot of people aren't aware of what is going on. And I spoke with some people from the school board. I would like to see the school board, I know that's another subject, but maybe you all, with more power and authority than myself, will be able to encourage them to kind of do something similar to this, and see a way to how we can reach other people in the community who typically wouldn't come to events like this, because it would have been nice to see the room filled with, some youth or some different faces, just to kind of learn and see. I learned from Facebook, but Ms. Flores, what she posted, but I didn't come up here to have anything bad to say or anything. I really, truly do appreciate this, and I would like to see it more often. And I mean, hopefully we can figure out a way to get people to come into these rooms and to speak about their concerns, but as well as to speak about some of the things that they're seeing, because I love to even see just the diversity across the board with the directors, and just, again, coming into the space, coming into the neighborhood, being willing to listen to the people, allowing people opportunity to speak. And I feel like if more people had the educational resources to understand some of the things that they can come in here and say, as well as some of the resources in the community of things that they can do, it would make Erie a better place. For my job, I work in the community engagement department at Mercyhurst University, and I've reached out to some of our partners. Actually, just learned about the Sisters of St. Joseph. They're where did she go? Their program with the matching the food stamps and doubling and stuff like that. And I've met with different organizations that have plenty of resources that are available to underserved communities and stuff like that. But I'm doing all of that research on my own through my job, and I feel like if it was more available to people who actually needed them, it would benefit our community a lot more. And I understand from looking around the room and seeing a lot of familiar faces, a lot of people in this room are familiar with those programs and their resources, but the people who actually need them are the people who aren't aware of these resources. So I feel like we need to work a little harder with offering those resources, and some of these new grassroots organizations. We need to figure out who these people are who are running these things, what their purpose are, and figure out how we can help and support them, because I feel like a lot of people are waiting to watch and see if these organizations or these individuals are going to crash and fail, but they are doing good work, they have good intentions, and they are impacting a lot of different people, and there's not a lot of educational resources to guide them in the right direction. So again, I appreciate you all coming from downtown, coming to the community center. I appreciate the fact that you all are going to continue to go to different community centers, and I would like to see you all more in the community. I have seen you all in the community, so this is not taking anything away from anybody. Every single person who is sitting across, I've seen you all in different places and spaces that I've been in, but I just wanted to come up here and say that I appreciate this, and you all are, hopefully we can make it go in the right direction. So thank you all, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Do we have any other citizens who would like to be heard tonight?
I wanted to wait till last so I didn't take anybody's time. I'm Jacob Jones. I live on East 38th Street. So I kind of have three things, one unrelated, two connected. Number one, we talked about speeding and aggressive driving. I drive every day on East 38th Street. I was glad to see that the state police and the Erie police had come together to do some enforcement. It worked for a day or two. Now it's gone. So now East 38th Street is back to just being a free-for-all zone. There's 3 schools on there. They all have summer school right now. School limits aren't going on there right now. There's a ton of people who live, most of 38th is residential, people live on these streets. It's incredibly aggressive. I worry about my son walking 3 blocks to school because he has to cross one street. And I worry about drivers who are doing 50, 60, 70 miles per hour. We had an accident in front of Tops a couple weeks ago where a man was ejected through a windshield. I mean, that's an incredible amount of speed. And so something long-term needs to be done about enforcement and trying to change that. The other 2 things was talking to you guys about LRTA. I was at the presentation where Chris Groner talked about LRTA and its impact. And I kind of wanted to throw 2 things in there. Number one is I think it's great that it's equitable and spread across the city. I think LRTA, to be successful in developing the city of Erie, maybe needs to be more targeted. Communities like this maybe need a better reimbursement rate. It's great if you want to build in the city of Erie, like in downtown. If they want to do that, they're going to do that regardless. But a better tax abutment over here at abatement, 100% here, 50% for the city of Erie, things like that to encourage these people to take the financial risk to invest in these communities long term, where people are looking for those amenities. We want a tax base, we want property taxes to increase. Communities need that quite a bit. The other part with LRTA is also taking that risk as a development tool. I used to work in economic development with the SBDC, so I've worked with the state and federal government on a ton of different economic development tools and programs. LRTA was successful. It worked. It encouraged investment on a massive scale that would not have happened if it didn't happen before. Is it going to be complex to get it up and running again? Absolutely. But it was successful. And I think the city would be losing a great opportunity to continue basically a program that is successful, works, is documented, and the vast majority of people enjoy using. And it's a successful government program. We don't have very many of those, so we got to keep those going. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other citizens who would like to be heard tonight? Do we have any other citizens who would like to be heard tonight? I hear none, so we will be moving on. Lori?
Ordinances for final passage. Council file number 16441, official ordinance 29, 2024, an ordinance appropriating the sum of $50,000 from unappropriated and unanticipated revenue for the expenditure thereof. Contribution is from the Dennis J. Hartwig and Life Services Management Corporation for the Police Department's Central Operations Project. Sponsored by Councilmember Schaaf, seconded by Councilmember Nelson. The council file ordinance bill number 16441, and now known as official file ordinance 29, 2024, be finally passed by City Council. Members Nelson, Shaw, Titus, Troop, Witherspoon, Flores. City Council pass official file ordinance 29, 2024 by yeas 6, nays 0. Council file number 16442, official ordinance 30, 2024, an ordinance appropriating the sum of $300,000 from unappropriated and unanticipated revenue, a donation to provide for the expenditure thereof for the Cockwell Boulevard Bridge Replacement Project. Sponsored by Councilmember Shaw, seconded by Councilmember Nelson. The council file ordinance bill number 16442, and now known as official file ordinance 30, 2024, be finally passed by City Council. Members Nelson, Shaw, Titus?
No.
Troop? Witherspoon? Flores?
No.
Ordinance passes yeas 4, nays 2. Ordinances for first reading. Council file number 16443, an ordinance appropriating the sum of $7,000 from unappropriated and unanticipated revenue for the expenditure thereof, the sale of a Harley-Davidson motorcycle. Sponsored by Councilmember Witherspoon, seconded by Councilmember Shaw. The council file ordinance number 16443, having been read, is hereby adopted on first reading by City Council. Members Nelson, Shaw, Titus, Troop, Witherspoon, Flores. City Council read and adopt Council File Ordinance 16443 by yea 6, nay 0 on first reading. Council File Number 16444. An ordinance appropriating the sum of $16,951.99 from unappropriated and unanticipated revenue for the expenditure thereof for a PEMA grant from the Office of the State Fire Commissioner to purchase 8 portable suction units and 95 particulate blocking firefighter hoods. Sponsored by Councilmember Witherspoon, seconded by Councilmember Shaw. The Council File Ordinance Number 16444 having been read is hereby adopted on first reading by City Council. Members Nelson, Shaw, Titus, Troop, Witherspoon, and Flores. City Council read and adopt Council File Ordinance 16444 by yea 6, nay 0 on first reading. Council File Number 16445, an ordinance to repeal Ordinance Number 8, 2024, which was passed and approved by City Council on March 6, 2024, as it was a duplication of Ordinance 58, 2023, that was passed and approved by City Council on September 20th, 2023. Sponsored by Councilmember Witherspoon, seconded by Councilmember Shaw, that Council File Ordinance Number 16445, having been read, is hereby adopted on first reading by City Council. Members Nelson, Shaw, Titus, Troop, Witherspoon, Flores. City Council read and adopt Council File Ordinance 16445 by yea 6, nay 0 on first reading. Council File Number 16446, an ordinance appropriating the sum of $2,971,318 from unappropriated and unanticipated revenue to be received from the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development, which is HUD, and $5,000 program income for a total of $2,976,318 for the Community Development Block Grant CD24 projects. Sponsored by Councilmember Shaw, seconded by Councilmember Nelson. The Council File Ordinance Number 16446, having been read, is hereby adopted on first reading by City Council. Members Nelson, Shaw, Titus,
No.
Troop, Witherspoon, Flores. City Council read and adopt Council File Ordinance 16446 by yeas 5, nays 1 on first reading. Council File Number 16447, an ordinance appropriating a sum of $764,318.25 from unappropriated and unanticipated revenue to be received from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, for the following Home M24 projects. Sponsored by Councilmember Shaw, seconded by Councilmember Nelson. That Council File Ordinance Number 16447, having been read, is hereby adopted on first reading by City Council. Members Nelson, Shaw, Titus,
No.
Troop, Witherspoon, Flores. City Council read and adopt Council File Ordinance 16447 by yeas 5, nays 1 on first reading. Council File Number 16448, an ordinance appropriating the sum of $267,205 from unappropriated and anticipated revenue to be received from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, for the following Emergency Solution Grant, ESG 24 projects. Sponsored by Councilmember Shaw, seconded by Councilmember Nelson. The Council File Ordinance Number 16448, having been read, is hereby adopted on first reading by City Council. Members Nelson, Shaw, Titus, Troop, Witherspoon, Flores. City Council read and adopt Council File Ordinance 16448 by yeas 6, nay 0 on first reading. Council President, this takes us to new business.
Motion to move the balance.
Second.
Thank you, guys. Any separation? Seeing none. Kathy, you have anything? Not having one?
No separation?
No, you good? Yeah. All right, no separations, Lori.
Okay. Moving the balance of the agenda, Councilmember Nelson, Shaw, Titus, Troop, Witherspoon, and Flores. Balance is moved 6-0. This takes us to committee reports.
All righty, so we will start with Tyler on the end and go from, work our way down the table.
Awesome. Okay, so I'll start with the Parking Authority. They're going to be meeting next week. They are in the process of having their physical conditions study done. They will have the full results from that this August. That's done by engineers, done every year, just to make sure that everything is structurally sound. They are going to be piloting a program to enforce safety zones, and that what they're going to be doing is piloting ticketing via video or cameras, right? So I think that's important for us as community members to know, and for us to know that we're going to be looking at things around fire hydrants, loading zones, and so they're going to pilot in a couple areas to try and make sure that people aren't parking in front of them. So here's the warning. We shouldn't be doing that anyway, but to make sure that you're not, as we're going to be hopefully moving in the direction of making things more accessible to those who need them. Tomorrow, June 20th, we have our International Refugee Day event in Perry Square starting at 7 p.m. There's a ton that is happening there. I encourage everyone to come if they can. It's a partnership with Erie Downtown Partnerships, Erie Arts and Culture, the Erie Art Museum, the City of Erie, Catholic Charities, MCRC, the U.S. Committee for Refugees and Immigrants. There's going to be local artists, performances, musicians, dancers, vendors, so make sure you can get there if you can. As with EMTA, the next meeting is going to be on my 40th birthday, but I don't think it has anything to do with me. June 24th. You can join that virtually. You just have to email, and you can get the email from their website. They had their fest on the 14th. Turnout was great. And don't forget that the E provides transportation to the Sunset Music Series on Beach 11. That's going to be their Route 33 bus. A big giant thank you, again, I know we've all said it, but to Cam and to Booker T for making tonight possible. I do think it's critical that we are out and about and accessible to community members, and we couldn't have done that without these two huge community partnerships. So again, thank you so much for making this happen, especially on Juneteenth. With the Erie Zoo, there are several projects underway, encouraging everybody to get their passes. I know I talk about them quite a bit, but I'm the liaison, and they do have a special spot in my heart. At the zoo, they have indoors bubble, Erie hot dog cart, and the Snack Attack concessions. This Saturday is their big fundraising event. It's their main event fundraiser. There's going to be music vendors, silent auction, and all the proceeds there are going to go towards animal care and the zoo. And just a reminder, we've talked about it a few times now. We did have our study session for the LERTA, but to make sure that we as community members are really understanding the possibilities of LERTA, what we can do with it, what we can't do with it. We're still collecting the data. Some of the big missing pieces really is from the county assessments office, but that we need to really be building as many pathways forward for our small businesses and our community members as possible. So just make sure that we understand what's going on there. And that's all for my reports.
Madam President?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. I don't have an official report, but I did want to say happy Juneteenth to everybody. Because today is the actual day that is the day, even though in Erie we celebrated it on Saturday. And so I did want to just mention that it was a great event. It's been celebrated in Erie for a long time, really. I know they recognized Miss Cynthia Muhammad at the festival. She was doing it a long, long time ago. And it may not have been as big as what it is getting now, but she deserves credit for that. And other people that I know, I grew up teaching me things. There's been a lot of people who've been doing things like that in our community for a long time. I've seen a lot of argument about it, joy about it, and argument about the actual day online. And, basically, it's celebrated because in 1863 was Emancipation Proclamation, but there was parts of the country that didn't know that was done for actually almost 2 more years. And in states like Texas, there was like 250,000 enslaved people who were still enslaved. They didn't know that had been signed. So they finally found out in like June that this happened. So the name Juneteenth, that's where it comes from. So just celebrating that. I want to say congratulations to Angela McNair, who was the organizer of it, of the current one. I know that I remember she was doing that years ago. It was in a parking lot at Piper Braley School, and also did it out here in Booker T. Washington Center parking lot. Now it's in Perry Square, so thanks to the city for that. Also, I know she's partnering now with Erie's Black Wall Street, which they're doing a great job. And anybody else who deserves credit for that. Also, Bishop Jones, I know he opened up his doors to look at his Black History Museum. So just wanted to give credit to that. And also, we're glad to be here tonight. And in regards to anybody, if there's anybody here who works with youth, City Council is also looking to get out into the youth centers so that we can come read to kids, do homework with kids, talk to kids, whatever you need us to do. We came here to Booker T. We went to the JFK Center. So we are looking to connect that way too. So if you want to have City Council come to your organization, you can contact me or any one of the City Council people who will come out and visit with the youth. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Witherspoon, you ready?
I'm ready.
All right.
Thank you, Madam President. I attended the Board of Appeals for parking and towing, and it was very interesting. They worked very, very hard in making some tough decisions, whether to forgive parking fines, and we had 2. One showed and one did not show. The one that showed, she admitted that she read the sign, but she had to park there because she had somewhere to go. But the board removed the fines, and she was happy with that. So that's a very, very good board, and they have some tough decisions to make on appeal, whether your car has been booted or not. I attended the Erie Housing Authority's farewell to Mr. Mike Fraley, who's retiring. It was a very nice event. Mike has done a lot for our community and placing individuals into homes, whether it's on West 38th Street, whether it's in the Holly. He did a very good job there. One thing that's close to my heart, and you all know it, is the Spoon Summer Basketball League. We have in age group 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, we have 206 kids who have signed up, have been placed on teams. We plan to start July 8th, and I wanted to thank Booker T for all the help that they have given our organization. We're still working on the west side. Surprisingly, only 3 kids signed up on the west side. So we're going to put some extra efforts in recruiting, even going door to door next week for the west side. We know the kids are there, but they just didn't sign up. But we don't want to leave them out there to do something that they shouldn't be doing. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Chuck, Councilmember Nelson?
Yeah. So I think the best thing to do, I've enjoyed this turnout. You know, the last couple council meetings, if we don't have something big on the agenda that ticks off somebody, nobody shows up. So today, we have a boring agenda, nothing that should cause anyone to be mad or upset. Everything was easy votes, and you all still showed up. Thanks for that. I'm going to keep it easy on my committee report and talk about a couple of things that you brought up to council. A woman named Ruth got up and she was talking about the plans and how we do them. Sometimes I find myself wondering if maybe a term change of the planning department to be an execution department would help change the mentality of it all. We need more execution on these things, and I stand with you on that. We're on the legislative branch. It's sometimes tough to get some of those things done. Usually it's us bugging people the same way as you do. There's a guy in the back there, though, in his shirt named Moss Sela. And you can bug him all day long. He's got a number. He'll probably give you a card after this. And then he makes sure that everything gets done on the 5th floor. He's great. He's the one I call to get stuff done. I highly recommend him. You were talking about concerns with pedestrian. We did pass a pedestrian ordinance last year that deals with construction. It is a priority from legislative standpoint for this city council. We had Harris was talking about the traffic on Holland and 21st up to 26th. I've seen that too. I find myself zipping down that way from time to time, usually coming back from collegiate, like I kind of turn around that way. You know, I've seen it. I've probably been a source of it from time to time. You know, no stop signs. It's a nice, thorough way. And maybe that would be as simple as, you know, stop signs aren't infrastructure, but I mean, that might be as quick of a thing as anything. There was a concern about lighting in Central City. And one of the things that the West Bayfront did a couple years ago was, it was before I was on city council. I was with a couple people that were on a team. We drove through each block and we counted how many people had their porch lights on at night. And then on the blocks that had a particularly low number of porch lights on or street lighting, and this isn't, I'm not offering this, so I'm just offering suggestions here. But we found people on those blocks that would take a light-activated, high-efficiency light bulb for their porch. And then we distributed those so that every block would have a certain percentage of, you know, we made a whole map of it, and we worked with some Gannon students, but I drove around a few nights doing this to make sure that every block had a certain number of light bulbs in there. And it was like an organic neighborhood type way to do it. You know, ideally we do something better than that, but that's a really quick way. I was pretty impressed with the effectiveness of it all. You know, we had a comment about the LRTA, and I had to miss that meeting, but I've caught up on it since. And I'll tell you, you know, I wrote an op-ed, and one thing that was concerning to me is that I went to the assessments office to try to get a better grasp of how all of this works. And but the concerning part was when I was in the assessments office, they told me that they'd had a data analyst from the city, and they gave me all the information they compiled for him. But that's the only person that I talked to them about where some of the hangups were. So we get this number of 320 million. And I'll tell you, you could go down the list of all the permits, and you can see the 11.5 million for St. Vincent. Okay, that's tax exempt. That's not from LRTA. You can see the $1.6 million from the cathedral. Once again, that's tax exempt. That's not for LRTA. You go down those numbers, and then you see the things. I had a business developer tell me that he'd spent, you know, $900,000, but on his permit it was $500,000. Okay, so now the numbers aren't even accurate on that side. The guy said he spent $500,000. He spent more than we're even giving him credit for. Maybe the number's $320.4 million because our numbers aren't even accurate we're getting from him. And then I looked up his report to see how much of an abatement he got. He spent $900,000 on his building, and it didn't change his assessment. So I went to the county office and asked what was up with that. Because my friend, he thought that he was getting this big abatement now, and he wasn't getting any money. So I asked the county assessment office what's up with that. They said, well, hey, you know, you put in glass walls instead of that doesn't change the value, the taxable value. That's just the guy's preference. So now we get this number that looks, instead of like 320 that keeps getting said, it looks more like about 60 to 70. All right? We've torn down that much in these 5 years. So that's where the numbers start getting tricky. Now, hey, we need as many tools as we can get. And the people that are talking about the need for a focus in Center City, I agree with them on that. We need focused incentives. I want to give another example, and now I'm going to start. You got me on time? We got a timer on me? Oh, yeah. I might need to borrow some time from Kathy. I'll give you another example of this when I was at the assessment office. Last year, when we were dealing with this CRIZ battle, we had this guy, Randy, come in from Lancaster, and he told us that Lancaster's CRIZ is what we needed to do. They were the best one. He said, don't do it like Temecula was a pilot. You can ignore them. Don't do it like Bethlehem. They're bad. So you know what I do? I call Bethlehem, right? Why do you suck at this? That was, that was the question. And then I asked her, and I said, hey, we're looking at this as a potential, who you talk to, or what's your ideas? And she hadn't talked to anyone from the city. I called her 3 times. Her name was Laura. She was super helpful. I talked to her for probably 2 hours. She hadn't talked to anyone. We just heard that they were a bad idea, so we didn't listen to them. So then I asked her, well, why is it a bad idea? And she said, well, we have other tools that we found to be more effective. We found that there's another value capture that we use at the steel site instead of CRIZ, and we found it to be more effective there because the value capture was more of a solution for our particular development. And then she showed me her map, and they got like 30 different, not 30, let's say a dozen different tools. We've been using the same singular tool since 1968. We have had the same tool since 1968. And it's just a matter of how much we use that one broad brush. I'm not denying that it's the best tool we've used. I'm just saying it's the only tool we've used. So that's the stuff that we need to look at, is having a more diverse tool belt to deal with residential stuff like what you've mentioned, Paul. That's particular to certain neighborhoods. Industrial stuff in other neighborhoods, we need a broad tool belt of highly specialized, because what's good for the goose isn't always good for the gander. We got different neighborhoods with different needs. So anyways, I look forward to that being forward. There's no way we get this through in time for it to sunset. The ball got dropped on that, but we need tools. And I'm a big fan of tools. I'm not saying it's not entirely successful. I'm just saying we need a lot more of them. All right, thanks.
All righty, thank you. Councilmember Shaw?
Thank you, Madam President. I want to thank everyone for attending today. I remember years ago getting in front of City Council. I think Jim Thompson was on at the time, and I can't even remember what it was about, but I was scared to death, and my heart was beating and racing. So I get it. The neighborhood watch for this area, if I could please have a schedule. I don't know, Lori, do we have a schedule for the neighborhood watches? I know some of them. I get invited to some of them. I know the St. Anne's Neighborhood Watches the second to the last Thursday, and I go to the East Grassroots Coalition when I can. They're on a Thursday as well. But I'm not familiar with the time for this area, and I would like to attend. I attended the LERTA study session, and I had also talked with Chris Groner before that about LERTA, and I support LERTA. I attended Flag Day Erie Philharmonic at the Soldiers and Sailors Home, and I participated in an auction that they had afterwards to support the Soldiers and Sailors Home, and I got a call yesterday that I won a $50 gift card to Quick Fill and $80 cards for other restaurants and areas, so I was very excited. And I went to the gallery walk, and I won the other day a year's membership for the Erie Art Museum, so I was very excited about that as well. So for me, it pays to go to the events. No, but I love community. If that's one thing, I just love a sense of community. And I did attend the Juneteenth, and I'm going to write about that. I want to write a poem, because everybody was happy that day. I don't know if it was the weather, but that was such a beautiful experience to sit down and just talk to people as they were walking by me or walking along the different tents. And I think Mr. Cooley, I had even talked to him. I think he had a booth of some kind that was set up there. I attended a 3-day event at Blasco Library that was put on by the Erie Downtown Partnership, who hired the Smith Group architectural company to do an intense 3-day focus of some of the parks in their area of the downtown, and was so pleased that comfort stations were definitely brought up, that they are definitely needed. So I'm looking forward to when they come back in July to talk about all of the different things that they had found in their last presentation. I attended the Chamber of Commerce workshop Friday, June 7th, that Mayor Joe also attended. It was for the Disadvantaged Business Enterprise Program that was like a workshop, talk, study type of session. We were all in different groups, and it talked about the community being a part of the different job opportunities that can be for them. So that was really awesome. And they also are having an event at the Barrand in July. I can't remember the date. But then I got like the golden ticket letter. My husband is thrilled about this, and I wanted to share it with you because I'm assuming it's going to different neighborhoods and will cover everybody. But it's from VelocityNet Fiber, and it tells us that we're getting fiber optic in our neighborhood that I live in, Davison Avenue to Kohler and East Grandview Block to East 38th Street, and to register. And my husband, it does cost money, but he is so excited because it's supposed to be very, very, very fast. So he's looking forward to that. I had no water for 2 days because Waterworks was doing their job, and it wasn't completely done, but valves broke in front of my house, and so I know what the inconvenience of that is, but now it's going to be awesome because they fix them. So our infrastructure is so old, and things break when they're old. But when they can be fixed and you can be inconvenienced for a while, it pays in the long run. So thank you to Erie Waterworks. The Sewer Authority meeting was yesterday, and they were having air conditioning problems. So it wasn't as cool and as nice as it is here today for that meeting, but they're doing the best they can for updating all sewer issues that we are having in the city of Erie. And truthfully, some of it is beyond my scope of understanding, but Basil is absolutely wonderful in explaining things that I don't understand. I went to the firefighters promotion today, and congratulations to the firefighters who were promoted, and 2 firefighters were given a special award because of saving lives with the Jaws of Life. And I understand, even like in my neighborhood, on my block, I do not have a sidewalk and for the whole block area, and I have asked for one, but because our city is so big, they are trying to target specific areas, and they did mention the Safe Walk to School program is what's designated right now. So, eventually I may, have that full sidewalk eventually, but for the safety of the children, they're targeting specific areas that are being covered. And Suzanne, I did want to say that I was so happy to see on the news how the community did step forward. And I know the value of planting because I grew up on the last house of East 38th Street, and my father had a huge backyard garden that not only our family members worked on, but my friends had to work on it if they knew they wanted to play with me. So we had tons of vegetables, fruit trees, you name it, we had it. So definitely know the value of a garden. Speeding, so I use 38th Street. I've actually been playing phone tag with Captain Tallarico, who is on the traffic force, and he and I are meeting soon. But I will tell you, it won't be till I get back from vacation. I have grandchildren that I absolutely love, and I'm going to be visiting them because it's too costly for them to come up here. So my husband and I are driving there. So thank you. I can still be reached by phone number and email. And I would like to see, like on a hot day like this, a splash pad in so many parks. When I was little, I used the Burton Park, and we used to run around the cement type of angled pool that we tripped and got a lot of bruises on. Maybe that's why they don't have that anymore, but definitely a cooling place. So that was good to do that. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So now I will go with my reports. I wanted to thank the Booker T. Washington Center for hosting City Council Day and all the community members who came out to be heard. I live on West 17th Street, so I definitely have seen that the area needs investment. I moved out this way last October, and it kind of, gets me going and thinking that maybe one day we'll get VNet as well. I tried to find out what it would take for regular residents to get it in my neighborhood, and it comes down to we have to put the investment and infrastructure in. Businesses can get it in because you're a business, but if you're a resident, you kind of got to do it yourself. So that was what was told of me, so hopefully one day we might have VNet as well. Now on to my committee reports. I had attended the Blasco Library Workshop as well with Councilmember Shaw, and it was really exciting to see what they want to do with Energize Downtown Erie. It would be nice to have a park in the area that they were stating. They're thinking of putting one behind what was it? What was the little tavern called? I can't remember.
Smokers Wharf.
Yeah, Smokers Wharf. They're thinking about making a pedestrian walk path around that way. That way, it would mitigate the traffic that pedestrians have to deal with when it's really busy. So I'm looking forward to that. There was a LRTA study session that was on June 13th that we attended. I went to the June 8th Saturday baseball game that the Erie Seawolves were hosting. They gave out 1,500 replica rings, which I was really impressed with. Those were really great rings for the fans to have access to. I attended the Saturday Juneteenth celebration in Perry Square as well. And I wanted to just say for the record, happy Juneteenth to everyone. I know that sometimes people celebrate 4th of July a lot more than we should acknowledge Juneteenth, because my family, we have a cookout on Juneteenth. That's what we try to do because we want to, honor and respect those that came from the freedom. So then also on the Erie Downtown Partnership had their first Monday movie night in Perry Square this past week, and they featured the Barbie movie. It was a great turnout. There was a lot of people, fathers and daughters out, and just families getting together out in our beautiful city. So this week has been great weather in our community, and I'm really happy with the sunshine that has been showing up. A lot of people look like they are not enjoying the weather, but I try to tell people that winter will be here before we know. So let's enjoy the next 12 weeks that we have, because, you know, before we know it, we're going to be in layers. That is all that I had to report. I just want to, you know, reiterate, people slow down. It's summertime. People are making memories. We do not need a family to be having an experience of tragedy, because then it gives a bad taste for summers for the future. And I know that there's been quite a few families that have been experiencing tragedy due to motor vehicle, or just being hit while they're biking, or just crossing the streets, because sometimes we're taking that left-hand turn too fast without taking time for those walkers to get across. I see lots of elderly using walkers and scooters and, you know, any type of medical equipment. So we have an aging population that needs a little bit more time, which is why I also reiterate, we need shade, we need benches. So there are things that I generally care about, and I'm hoping that other council members care about as well, because it would just make our day-to-day life a lot better in our city. But that is all I have to report. Yes, go ahead, Tyler.
I completely forgot in my report. June 29th, speaking of Pride, is Erie City's Pride Festival. They've moved the location, so they're down on the water. The Pride Parade will be the following day. But just to encourage everybody, especially on council, if you're able to come down, it's a great time of celebration, honoring our history, the work that we've done, and the amount of work that we still have left to do. But it will be a great day down on the water.
All right, well, we will look forward to hearing more about that, because I'm pretty sure I have an invitation somewhere I just have to look at. Alrighty, I'm going to ask the solicitors if they have any report. I see none. The mayor, do you have a report for us?
Yes, and I'll be brief, but I just want to say a couple things. One is Michael Keys. I enjoyed your presentation, and we definitely will be spending all that $5 million in the parks in Erie. We hired a group to come in to kind of make recommendations to us what we should do. And there definitely will be some of that done in Roger Young Park. I don't know details yet, but we should know that very soon. Also, I wanted to thank the Booker T. Washington Center also for hosting this, as a couple of you said as well. This was really great. I feel much closer to the crowd than I do sitting up on the stage, and I really like this a lot. So thanks very much to everyone. I went to Joe Walco's retirement party from Erie Waterworks on Tuesday, June 11th. And that was really an incredible program. There was about an hour and a half of speakers, all of which were very interesting, and I really enjoyed that. On Wednesday the 12th, Thomas B. Hagen Fellowship Program had their 4th graduation of students through that program over at Erie Insurance, and that was very impressive as well. On Thursday the 13th, we dedicated a new fire truck over on West 8th, in the firehouse there, and that was very impressive, and a big crowd and a very good experience as well. And on Friday the 14th, I went to a citizenship ceremony at the federal courthouse, which I do 10 times a year. I always leave those high. There's only 16 new citizens. Usually there's about 50. I'm not sure why that was so low, but it was still a very good experience, and I really enjoyed it. And that same day, I went to the 108th birthday celebration for Aleosios Kalugwitz, who actually had been living still by himself until about 6 months ago, when he had a medical problem and had to go in. But that was very impressive as well. And today, we had a special promotional ceremony for and this was referred to also, but our fire department, they honored about 8 different firefighters, and many of them have been on the job 20 years or more, and it was very, very impressive to hear what they've done, and that was really great. And that's all I've got. Thank you.
Alrighty, so that is the end of the city council meeting. Pretend gavel, gavel.
Hey.